Who is that? Hi guys, yes, I'm sorry, I am playing my song that comes out tomorrow. Sue me. I'm excited for you guys to hear it. It's been, playing on my laptop for about 6 to 8 months now. So tomorrow it'll be playing on yours. Did you hear the chorus? I once heard, if you can't jam to your own music, who's to say someone else will? So that's what I'm doing. Hi guys. Thanks for coming back. It's Thursday. It's a very exciting day today. I'm going to be talking to author Jedediah Jenkins, which I actually might try and pin that in the comments. Let's see if I can do this while this is on a tripod. Okay. Sorry, y'all. Oh, can you or should I just write your name? I love that these are I'm almost done doing these and this is the first time I've used this feature. Okay, let's see. Post. How do you pin it? Oh no. Oh yeah, there we go. All right. Yes, very exciting day today. I'm talking to one of my favorite authors, Jedediah Jenkins, who I think is standing by, so we might as well get him on in here. Hello. Are you jamming? Uh-oh. It's hard.
No, I have full bars. What is this world?
It's a little fuzzy for me.
Look at me. I have full service.
Oh, weird.
What?
Oh, no.
Let me see if I get off Wi-Fi.
Well. Hello?
Can you see me?
Yeah, I think it seems better now.
My Wi-Fi was full bars. I can't believe we're living. I'm sure through live music, it's like you would think in the year where we have a robot driving around on Mars, the sound would always work at a concert or Wi-Fi connections would work.
Oh my gosh.
I don't understand.
It's pretty amazing. It's pretty amazing how we can still have a lot of technological mess ups given
I've
answers.
I'm so happy to be here. Hi.
Hi,
so many times that I've ever done a live event or been to a speaking thing or whatever, the microphone doesn't work or the slides don't work and I'm like, how are we still here? Anyway.
How does it happen? Yeah. I mean, I will say, I don't want to jinx this, but the first couple weeks I was doing lives, it was always the internet glitched and the phone died and my phone froze and I'm like, oh my gosh. So it's been kind of smooth sailing, so we're gonna just hope that it stays that way.
I have belief.
Welcome to my show.
Happy to be here.
I'm so excited to have you. And I pinned a comment so everyone knows that you are an author.
And you spelled my name perfectly correctly.
I know, it is always a little nerve-wracking typing it out.
I have friends named Lindsay that I'm still is it Lindsay? Is it,
yeah.
And I've known them for 15 years.
Yeah, my name is kind of one of those names too. It's is it C-A-I? Is it K-A-I? Is it K-A-T-E? It's a little confusing. But
I like the way yours is spelled because Kate is just fully first.
Right.
It's okay, I can remember that.
Yeah, exactly. My mom was like, well, I named you after my Aunt Kate and my best friend Lynn, so I just put those names together.
Oh my God, that's so pure.
It's so funny. I've been like, I listened to your book on audio, and every time you quote your mom, you put on her accent, and I was like, I feel like I'm mimicking my mom. So it's exactly what I do.
I I like was basically raised by television, and so even though I grew up in Nashville, for some reason, just like watching Friends and Seinfeld and whatever, like erased my accent. Where my sister, my brother, my mom, like they all talk. I wish I talked like this. I think it'd be way cooler, but I just can't. I mean, I just don't.
Yeah, yeah, I know. I definitely had a thick accent, and then like came out to LA and started doing acting stuff, and took like diction classes to like try and fix
Really?
it. Yeah, I know.
Wow.
I know.
I
I mean, not
remember
many, but
I remember ages ago watching an interview with Charlize Theron, and she was talking, and whoever it was like David Letterman or something. They were like, "You're from South Africa," and she's like, "Yeah, like this is not my real voice." She's like, "I learned to talk like this, and I've been doing it for 20 years." I'm like, "Oh my God, I've been lied to." That's so crazy to me.
I know it is weird. Like I and that,
Like to
but
do an accent and then just keep doing it until it becomes your voice.
I know. Well, that's kind of what happens. I feel like being out of the South kind of makes, when you're around people that aren't speaking with an accent, you kind of like lose it naturally.
Yeah. And then some people don't. Like Arnold Schwarzenegger can't speak and he hasn't lived in Austria since he was 17.
Yeah,
You
that's
know,
true,
he
actually.
just like it's like frozen in there where other people it completely goes away. I don't know what that means.
I don't know. That's something we could explore on live today. Should we just make it all about that?
That's the extent of my knowledge, so we're
Hit
done.
us in the comments with why that happens, guys. Thanks. It looks like we have a lot of friends here, and we have a lot of mutual friends, but you and I have never met.
I
So
know, and we live like a mile apart.
I know it's very, very weird, but
Well,
as go on.
I was just gonna say, in quarantine, I'm a very extroverted social person, and I love making new friends and meeting people. But haven't I haven't met a new person in 2 months, and
Yeah.
so I'm like, um, I need to like make a new friend, or I'm gonna lose my mind. And so when you told me about this, and I was so honored to be asked. And I'm like, oh my gosh, we have mutual friends. Like we would have naturally met. That we could have actually naturally met
I know.
at a
Yeah.
party in the last 2 months, and this is our chance.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I'm the same. I'm also very extroverted and miss being out with friends and talking to new people. So I decided to start this, and it's worked out well for me. So,
Oh,
if you if you're inspired.
I am. By the way,
No,
this is my quarantine uh life change. Okay, I got this online. Look how
okay.
much water I drink it every day. It has like all these times, and you. So I
Oh.
drink this much water every day, and
Oh, wow.
it's so fun. I carry it around like a baby.
That is pretty gigantic.
Maybe this isn't how you hold a baby. I've never held a baby, but
Everyone's like, wait, what does it have things written on it? I can't read it. It's a little fuzzy.
so it says 7 a.m. good morning, 9
Okay.
a.m. hydrate yourself, 11 a.m. remember your goal, 1 p.m. keep going. So it like encourages you. I wish they would make one that's funny, like you're a lazy bitch, like try harder, you dumb.
Maybe
That's
that's an idea.
iteration two.
Maybe that's a quarantine idea for you to make.
I got a lot of ideas.
Have you been like, so if say you're a social person and you like haven't been able to hang with people, how have you been handling it? Like, have you gone through phases of like being upset and then being okay? And like, how are you feeling now?
I go through I've been through many ups and downs over the last 2 months. I would say what an interesting wrinkle and like something I learned about myself is a lot of my social engagements are rooted in FOMO and like
Yeah.
is everyone hanging out without me?
Yeah.
And knowing that no one is hanging out, I'm actually like, oh, well, I'm chilling. Like
It's
no
so
one's doing
true.
anything, so I'm not missing anything. And that's like fine.
I know it's so true. It really has kind of gotten rid of FOMO.
Yeah, I know exactly what everyone's doing.
Yeah, nothing.
And if they're doing something else, it's like illegal.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, my friend is like about to have a baby, and she's like, yeah, it's been kind of nice knowing that no one else is like being able to go to parties or like hang out and go to bars, you know, because I couldn't anyway because I'm pregnant.
Totally.
And she's like, it's kind of been nice. And I'm like, yeah, that makes sense. Oh, have you picked up any hobbies during quarantine yet, or have you just been kind of getting by?
No, there's two things I've added to my life which I've really enjoyed. One is my friend Charlie, I guess he owns or owned like a CrossFit gym or some kind of gym downtown. And then obviously gyms are closed. So they shifted and made online Zoom group workouts. And
Uh-huh.
I live with some of my best friends, and so we all pretty early on were like, let's do these workouts every day at 11.
Oh,
And well, every weekday. And it
yeah.
gives your day some kind of structure, something
Yeah.
to do, because I am not an essential worker, so I'm like at home all the time.
Right.
And and it's been I've always been workout shy. Like I'm embarrassed if someone watches me work out. I'm like, please don't look at me do push-ups. Like I'm ashamed. And for I don't and for some reason, working out with my roommates and having like Charlie on Zoom telling us what to do, and like you only really work out hard for like 20 minutes and then
Yeah.
it's over. And I'm
Yeah.
like exhausted and working out different parts of my body, and like
Yeah. Yeah.
so I think I'm like I've discovered I like group workout classes. And
Yeah.
two, being home all the time, I've always loved flowers and loved like flower arrangements and picking wildflowers and putting them. But I travel so much, flowers die, and then my roommates are mad because there's some rotting thing on the counter. But
Yeah.
now I'm home, and I ordered special flower cutting scissors online, and they
Oh,
came and they're
wow.
really fancy. And so I go around on my walks and in my backyard and cut wildflowers and make like arrangements in the house, and it's
Oh my
very
God.
I feel like a old British countryside lady, and I love it.
That's amazing. I think those are two positive
Yeah.
changes.
What about you?
Congrats. Well, I started this.
That's fun.
Guess I have a talk show now. So, no, but it's been kind of the same as your workouts. It's like, okay, I know I have to do something every day at noon, and it's really fun. I get to talk to different people and get some energy out
Yeah.
and like have a conversation, which is fun. And I mean, I said to myself at the beginning I was gonna learn how to braid my own hair, like do like cute little French braids, and I
Fun.
cannot do it.
You can't do it.
I cannot do it. Like I don't understand how people can look in the mirror and it's backwards, and like I don't know. It's very talented. Talented. Very
Talenting.
challenging. Very talenting to do it. And I still am not, but I have some time left, so maybe I'll get to learning how to do that. I just saw this thing before we came on. This guy on Instagram doing a bit about being Banana Bread's publicist.
Oh, that guy is so funny. I've seen him on TikTok.
Yes, he's so funny. He was like, "Are you sitting down? Do you want to be Time Magazine's Person of the Year?" Because everyone's making banana bread. Which I also haven't
Joy.
done, but I'm not above it. I'm hoping to get to the banana bread phase.
I
And
don't
this
know.
phase,
Listen, I was telling you earlier, I've learned how to cook beyond vegan sausage in a pan. And I
that's you.
honestly I feel like Emeril Lagasse in there. I'm just like putting olive oil in the thing and then
Wow.
turning them in the skillet, and that's it. The end. It's just a sausage that I put some sriracha on, and it's over. And I feel amazing about it. So baby
Advanced. You're
steps.
becoming a true chef. I mean, that's big. Okay, but seriously, thank you so much for being here. I've, told you a lot of how much I love and appreciate your writing and your work, and you're my first author that I've had on here, and it's just really exciting. So truly thank you for being here and hanging out with me today.
Well, it's my honor. I love talking, and I can't talk to my GD roommates anymore,
Anymore.
so I'm so excited to talk to you. Not that you're like some concession prize. I'm like literally just glad anybody asked me.
Yeah, no, I get it. But you are, like I said, you're an author. You wrote the book To Shake the Sleeping Self, a New York Times bestseller. No,
Woo woo.
and I'm gonna read a couple sentences that are on your website because I was like, well, I'm not gonna try and write a new bio for if it's already
God, I
there.
don't even know what it is.
But okay, well, so this is essentially what your book is about. On the eve of turning 30, terrified of being funneled into a life he didn't choose, Jedediah Jenkins quit his dream job and spent 16 months cycling from Oregon to Patagonia.
That's true.
So, pretty insane. And for people who maybe aren't familiar with the book, could you maybe give a little backstory into how you ended up riding your bike for 16 months from Oregon to Patagonia?
Well, I think there is there is I think a pretty universal, maybe it's just in the United States or in the West, like in your late 20s, around 27, you start to really see 30 approaching, and like you've kind of been maybe in college, you've been working, you've felt really young, and then all of a sudden 30 is on the horizon and you're like 30 years old is an adult. That is an adult, and
Yeah.
you don't get to be like, I don't know how to pay my taxes. I don't know what I'm doing. Like, no, 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 no. You're an adult. And that really frightened me because I was 27. I looked around my life, which I loved my life and still do, but I was like,
Yeah.
wow, I've only ever walked through the obvious door that was open right in front of me, ever, my whole life. I never
Right.
even looked for a door. I just walked, and I was like, wow, you maybe only live once, and am I actually like chasing something, pursuing something? And I remember reading Malcolm Gladwell's book Outliers, and he talks about how extremely successful people spend 10,000 hours honing a skill.
Yeah.
And I was like, I remember being 26, 27, and like, what would I even spend 10,000 hours doing? Like, what would that look like? Like, what would I want to? And
Yeah.
I remember I've always loved reading, and my favorite thing in the world is to read a book and like love it so much that I underline it
Yeah.
and like or screenshot things that I love. Like I just when language hits me, I just love it. And I remember thinking, wow, if I could ever do that, if I could ever make someone feel that way that I feel when I read things I love,
Yeah.
that would be such a worthy life and a life I dream of. And so I was like, okay, maybe I'll try that. Like before I'm not married, I don't have a mortgage, I don't have kids, like
Yeah.
maybe I'll try this. And so then, long story longer, I was like, okay, well, there's a Benjamin Franklin quote which says either write something worth reading or do something worth writing. And I didn't know if I was a good writer. People had told me I was good at articulating things, which is like a good start.
Okay. Yeah.
And I was like, okay, well, maybe if I do something that's interesting on its own, um, then even if I'm a mediocre writer, just the adventure will be interesting enough for somebody to read it. And so,
Right.
so that's like where I got the idea to go on a big adventure and write about it. And also understanding that I've spent my 20s unpacking growing up in the South, being raised super Christian, realizing I was gay in seventh grade, or realizing I was different in third grade and gay in seventh grade, and then processing all that in the church
Yeah.
and being a good Christian boy and being celibate till I was 30, like all these things. I was like, wow, a
Yeah.
big external adventure and a big internal adventure. Maybe that'll be a cool book. And so
Yeah.
that was what led me to the trip, and then the book after, and then now here I am.
Yeah.
And it
I
happened. It
mean,
was great.
it's so cool. I think there's so much like inspiration to be taken from your story and your book and just I love how you talk about it took you saying it a lot to the people around you to actually commit to doing it, because you're like, I've been saying for years I'm going to go on this trip. Now I like have to do it. Because, you
Yeah.
know, to your point, like I feel like it's so hard to make big changes and to like take a big step and do something out of your comfort zone. And like I mean, I guess for you it was like saying it out loud a lot and trying to figure out, but I don't know, it makes me think of like for people who want to do that and want to like break up the routine or try something big, but maybe can't, you know, maybe do have a mortgage, maybe do have kids. Like,
Right.
I don't know, is there anything you can think of that might be helpful with like ways to kind of go after and try stuff like that, but or working towards something like that while you have maybe more responsibilities or more like things tying you down to where you're at?
Well, I think there's different seasons of life that are different moments of identity formation, okay? And if you are already a parent and you are like in these different things, those are major anchors of identity that you don't get to just not have. Like
Right.
that's huge. And so those are key data points in you figuring out what skills do I have? What do I want to say with my life? With the data points that I have of what do I have in my hands right now. And at the point of me going off on a big adventure to write a book, I didn't have a lot of things in my hands. I had a
Yeah.
law degree. I had some encouragement to do it. Whatever. And so I think there's a thing I write about in the book called the difference between dreams and goals. I don't know if you
Yes.
remember that, but it's
Yeah.
like, but I think about that all the time. And so like a dream for your life is a broad, almost like spirit of meaning in your heart. So like, let's say, and then a goal is a specific anchor of that spirit. So like a goal would be, for example, growing up, I wanted to be a movie director. It was my only dream from age 12. I wanted to be Steven Spielberg. And
Yeah.
then I moved to California to go to film school. The moment I'm in film classes, I'm like, oh shit, like I hate this.
Yeah.
Like a film director is basically the boss of 250 people. It is so like, I've been telling people I was going to be Steven Spielberg since I was 12, and now I'm out here and it's terrible. What do I do? And I was
Yeah.
very sad. I was very confused.
Yeah.
And like, and that was kind of for me, it was like, actually, my goal was to be a movie director, but underneath that was a broader idea of wanting to be a storyteller. That's what I loved. I
Yeah.
love movies because I love stories. I love
Yeah.
reading books because I love stories. And I was like, oh, so you can like aim your arrow at a goal, but it might not actually be the manifestation of that calling on your heart. And so that was where I like kind of floundered and went to law school and then worked at this amazing charity and just trying to figure out what you're doing.
Mm-hmm.
And so I don't know, my advice to people who do feel lost in routine and are looking at their life and are like, wow, is this the life that I wanted? Um, I would say try to zoom out and like listen to the thing that is asking you for more and understand that the answer that you think it might be is not necessarily it. There's an underlying meaning to it, which
Yeah.
is like maybe like for me, I want to be a storyteller. If I had kids and a husband and a house and all these things, like that doesn't stop me from being a storyteller. Like
Right.
I could write novels, I could write books, I could like go on adventures in my imagination in the 2 hours in the morning before the kids wake up, or
Right.
who knows? Like I've
Yeah.
never been there, so I can't speak to it. But
Yeah.
Cheryl Strayed says a lot of amazing things about this, and I really recommend anybody just listen to her talk about it on a podcast because she wrote Wild with a kid and no money and like with
Yeah.
kids. It was just like amazing.
Yeah. Yeah. No, that's so, it's so cool. It's so cool to just see, you know, because I think it's hard also when you're sort of in that phase where, you know, you're Cheryl and you're writing a book with your kid and you're like, what am I doing? Like, why am I writing this book? Like, is anyone even going to read this? And you, or at
Yeah.
least for me, it's like sometimes I can get so stuck in being in the middle of the process and, you know, sometimes losing sight of like the bigger picture and having trouble continuing to work towards something when it's not so immediate. But I think, when you read stories like hers and yours, and you see like the payoff of like, when you're biking in the middle of the desert and you're like, why did I do this? I hate it.
Oh,
Like, you know,
hell.
it's cool to, I think that's how other people can continue to push through that too, because they're like, all right, well, this will all mean something eventually.
Well, there's a analogy that I think of when you're like, especially if you're young, but at any age of life, where you can't build a house until you have tools and lumber. And you get tools and lumber by living, by just, because you don't know what Oprah says, sweet, sweet Oprah says, everything in your life is preparing you for the opportunity that is to come. And I
Yeah.
always think about that because
Yeah.
like she talks about how if she hadn't been in church, she wouldn't have learned to public speak. If she wouldn't have learned to public speak, she wouldn't have won an internship at a radio station. If she hadn't done that, she wouldn't have been hired by the news show. It's like, and she didn't want to
Yeah.
do those things. It was just like she kept collecting tools along the way to ultimately build the house of her career. And I think
Right.
for me, like going to law school, I didn't know what I thought I wanted to be a human rights lawyer or maybe an entertainment lawyer, but learning to communicate in law school and learning to see both sides of an argument wired my brain into the writer that I am today. And
Right.
I don't know if I would see the world the same or think similarly. So
Yeah.
I just really encourage people. It's like, if you don't know what it is, keep living and understand that life is lived in seasons and you're collecting tools for the house you're going to build,
Totally. And you know
which I
what's
love.
funny? As you were saying that, you became really clear to me again. And I guess that's just the power of saying Oprah's name.
The clarity, it just
The
goes, yoink.
clarity. It's all clear now. No, that's so true. I love that. I love
So,
that.
yeah, people, I don't know. I just really, well, I mean, what would you say in your journey of becoming a songwriter? Like, what are the steps that kind of surprised you along that journey? And a singer
I
also.
think, well, I think like what it's sort of similar. It's like let life go out and live life and let that inform what you're writing about. And that's going to be way more compelling and like, you know, unique to you. And instead of going into sessions and being like, how do I write this hit song? Like we have
Yeah.
to make the verse like this. We have to make it about this because that's what people want to hear. It's like, letting go of the rules of like, or at least, that's how it was for me. I think I was so like coming at it from the wrong angle of like, why,
Mm.
not doing it just for like enjoyment of expressing my point of view or doing it for the fun of it. Like I was more concerned with like, is this good? Like, is
Yeah.
this person in, above me in the industry, like saying that it's good, or is it more about like what I'm trying, getting across what I want to say and my unique point of view. And I think the more people were like, you're the only you're the only person who can say it the way you can, even if you feel like you're saying something someone else has said, like, don't pay attention, like, don't compare yourself, don't read something and be like, oh, I'll never say it. Don't listen to a song and go, oh, I could never write that good of a song, so I might as well
Right.
not even try. I think, because even, I think that can be such a trap too. Is like, why would I write about this certain thing when this person already did it so well?
Well, Los Angeles is such an interesting city because there are a lot of incredible artists here, but it also draws a lot of people that want to skip the art to the fame. They want the
Yeah.
recognition and the clout, and they're just like, I'll do whatever it takes. I'll imitate whoever, I'll look like whoever. And it's
Right.
like, and by the way, there's space for that. Like
Sure.
there's space for everybody to do whatever you're doing, but the artists that really, the writers, the singers, the songwriters, the actors who just reach into your soul and rip it out are the ones who are tapping into something so deeply true to their personal experience that you are drawn by the authenticity of their expression. It's magnetic. And that's what with writing this book, I
Yeah.
knew I had a book in me, but I was also like, you know what? I am very happy to self-publish this. Like maybe like I have enough friends who will like read it and then I'll, you know what? I'll have done it. It'll be a bucket list thing. I self-published it. I made it
Yeah.
beautiful and maybe 100 people read it and maybe a few friends that I respect thought it was cool. And it like then at least I can go back to my old job or find another job and know when I'm 60 that I didn't not do something I wanted to do because I was afraid. That's like
Totally.
that's what I wanted. And so
Totally.
I don't know. I think you're so right about finding whatever that unique thing it is that you have to say because obviously no one else can say it like that
Yeah.
and say it.
Yeah, and don't be afraid to just put it out there and trust that it will find the person it's supposed to, you know?
Well, and that's I remember I think I wrote about this on Instagram, which made it into my next book, but like um I really think I can trace wanting to become a writer back to one person, which was this guy I met once on a trip in Colorado. And that he was cool, whatever. We met like at a house party, and then somehow we became Facebook friends. And then I wrote like a random Tumblr post about my thoughts on Christianity on my personal Tumblr, and
Uh-huh.
something convinced me to post it on my Facebook and like to my whoever high school friends.
Right.
And and then he read it and emailed me and said, "You have articulated something that I've been trying to say for years, and I think that this just changed my life. Please keep writing." And I was like, "Whoa!" Like the
Yeah.
power to impact one person. It felt so
Yeah.
so profound to me, and I was like,
Yeah.
and that's the best feeling in the world. And it's like you can't
Yeah.
when someone's a huge, huge, huge star, and like they are impacting millions of people or 100,000 people in a stadium, it doesn't matter who you are. You can't feel that. I'm sure it feels cool, but it's like once a crowd gets too big, it just becomes a sea of faces. And
Yeah.
and it's when there's the like personal, it's the letters, it's the emails, it's the direct messages of the stories of individual people that you feel.
Yeah.
And that's why a mean-spirited troll online can hurt your feelings.
Totally.
Even though you might fill a stadium with 100,000 people, if one person is like writing your trash and a
Oh, yeah.
okay, what ask me more things.
Sorry, it got a little glitchy, but I did agree with that what you were saying. You do always remember the troll above all of the nice things people say.
It's just human nature, of course. Like, how could you not?
Yeah.
Like, it's very unusual in real life to have someone say something mean to you. Like,
Yeah.
unless your job is a parking meter, people don't get like cussed at.
Right.
And
No,
that's,
totally. And what makes me also think about for you and for anyone who decides to share their thoughts and their insights and their very like vulnerable, you know, what's inside your head for the benefit of other people to read it and go like, "Oh my god, that's something that I've been trying to articulate and couldn't." Like that's
mm,
a lot of responsibility, you know, as you. And I wonder like do you ever feel that pressure of like, oh my gosh, you know, I think as anyone who's creative and writing and trying to like keep people interested and like serve
mm.
them, like, do you ever feel the weight of like, oh my gosh, do I have anything else to say? Or is it kind of just, do you not worry about it?
I don't worry about it. The thing, my practice is just I'm experiencing life in the world,
Mm-hmm.
and if something is profound to me, I try to put it into words, and like things, I'll just have like a thought once a week or every couple days, and be like, "Wow, that's so interesting. I'm so intrigued by this idea. I bet you other people are intrigued too. And so
Yeah.
that's it. And if they're not,
Yeah.
okay, well, I was.
Yeah. Yeah, that's cool. I
Yeah.
like that. Yeah, I think it's always good to be like, okay, this is intriguing to me. It probably is to a lot of other people.
That's such a I weirdly learned that from some like business conference guy or something I
Oh,
was at.
really?
And he was talking about starting businesses and he goes, "If you see something that you wish existed and you can't find it, I guarantee you other people wish it existed too."
Yeah.
Like if you just wish there was an electric car, you're like, "Wow, I hate gas. I wish," like other people want that too. And
Right.
it's like, so make it. If you, I mean,
Yeah.
that's a big one to make, but like,
Yeah.
and similarly, like I don't know, it gets misquoted by all kinds of people, but I think it's Maya Angelou, Toni Morrison, one of these icons that said, if there's a book that you wish you could read and it doesn't exist, then maybe you should write it. Which
Yeah.
I'm like,
Okay.
and that was like for me to write To Shake the Sleeping Self, I was like, I wish there was a book for people who are deconstructing their faith and figuring out what they believe,
Yeah.
like a gay 20-year-old boy from the South. Like,
Yeah.
I wish. And
Yeah.
I don't know where that is, so maybe I should write it.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, that's so true and so powerful. And it's also very brave of you to take the step and put yourself out there like that. You know? It's it's
Well,
hard
thank
to
you.
do that.
It is really hard, and I think the key, what it took for me was honestly having an incredible community of friends who supported me so that
Yeah.
and once I had that community of friends who knew me in the truest form and knew everything about me, then speaking my truth, because I always feared speaking my truth as a kid because I was so embedded in the like Southern Baptist church that I was
Yeah.
like, if I say these things, I will be rejected.
Right.
But but once I built a community of friends that fully accepted me, then if I was like, well, if these strangers reject me, well, I don't even know these people, so my friends
It's
love me.
true.
So I'm just
Yeah.
gonna say what I wish I could have said 7 years ago.
Yeah, that's true. That's really true. It's so nice to have good friends.
Uh,
Everything.
community is everything.
Yeah, it really is. Okay, so I have a couple of your Instagram posts pulled up
You
because
babe.
I was telling you this before, but I was like, I've saved so many of your captions. It's like I might as well just auto save whatever you post.
Stop.
Like I brought them into writing sessions and just read them out loud to people and been like, I mean, right, guys?
That's my
Right?
dream of dreams.
Yes. And I mean, we've sort of touched on some of these, but I'm just gonna read some of them and then we can talk about it. Because
Okay.
I really liked this one. You posted it on December 26th, 2019. And it's about New Year's resolutions. So I'm gonna refresh your memory in case you forgot what you said.
I
Um,
definitely forgot.
okay, so you say, I always see stories about the efficacy of New Year's resolutions. Less than 10% of resolutions actually happen. A third of resolutions do not make it past the first month. Oh, hush. Let me believe in improving myself. I may sink back by February, but the forgetting of my weaknesses and the belief that I can change is the root of hope. I'm so hopeful as the year ends. The laziness and confusion, the cyclical bad habits, and dog returning to his own vomit I seem to love are given a new chance to die. And then goes down to, well, I mean, I don't even want to skip any. Here it's just I read the whole thing. Um, that stands even though I'm also an embracer of my shadows. I do not begrudge my failings and often don't even label them as failings. I know they too are teachers. But mystic proclivity aside, I do wish to work harder, actualize creative projects, improve my writing, be a better friend. I do wish to refine myself all the while loving every inch of my present self. What would we be without the hope to evolve? Always reminded of the Benjamin Franklin toast, be at war with your vices, at peace with your neighbors, and let every new year find you a better man. He does not say conquer your vices or achieve nirvana. He says let every new year find incremental change. Whether I set goals or not, this year will change me. Well, that's true. As every year does. At least let
Yeah.
me put some wills and hopes into it. Um, 10 years ago, I was a version of me. I loved myself, sure, but I was only half baked. And this next decade, I'm the baker. And I love that idea because I've always been very hopeful at the beginning of a new year too. It's like, oh, a fresh slate. I'm gonna like do all these things I've always wanted to do, and I like that optimism. I can't really get rid of it, but I also try to tamper it a little bit because I'm like, well, look at the previous years. Like, when have you stuck with
Right.
something? Like, when, and you can beat yourself up for all the things you haven't done. But I don't know. I just really liked what you said about, having even the belief that you can change and improve is almost better than the actual resolution.
Well, I feel like there's a current of thought and a type of person that actually loves to just like clip wings. They just love to like tell you, oh, that's not going to happen. Like
Yeah.
these things. And I'm just like, get out of here. Like, I'm trying to like live. I'm trying to thrive. You're harshing my mellow. Like I want to start the year excited. And I do understand there is a certain everything's kind of playing together as like instruments in an orchestra. So I can also see there's someone saying, you know what, most resolutions don't happen. And there's a type of person that's like, oh yeah, well, watch me. Like
Yeah.
I will. So now that you've challenged me, but I don't really respond to challenge like that. I'm just like, you know what? I think I might be able to be in better shape. I might be able to eat better, and I'm going to try. And maybe, it's so interesting. Like, I have worked out more consistently and eaten like I've been
Uh-oh.
because of, oh, should I try Wi-Fi?
Sorry. Maybe.
What's happening?
Seems to be good now.
Well, but just like I couldn't have predicted that a pandemic would cause me to work out more than I've ever worked out and eat better than I
Right.
like, hello? And so
Yeah,
like,
right.
but because I spoke those desires in the early year and hoped for that, and that was in my mind, then when circumstances shifted for the whole world, then I was able to put those into practice. And so I
Yeah.
believe, like, sort of going back to what we said earlier about speak, if you have a dream, speak it and
Yeah.
tell people about it, because it actually gives it some power to like happen in the world.
Yeah, I feel like it's reminding me. I listen to a lot of Dax Shepard's podcast,
Love.
and I think he talks about, and not only him, a lot of people like talk about how powerful the story we tell ourselves are. Of like, oh, I'm this, I'm that, I'm this type of person. I don't like this, I do like this. Like, all of those things really have such an effect on how we view ourselves and can be so powerful. In like, what if you just decided to stop telling yourself some of these things? Like,
I've heard, it might have been even Esther Perel on that, who I love, on Dax's podcast. But one of the framing, especially in relationships, romantic relationships, even in like roommate situations or conflict, to be like, the story that I'm telling myself about what's going on here is that you don't respect me, or the story that I'm telling myself is that I'm worthless because you don't. And that, like, because a lot of the times our perspective, the story we're telling ourselves, is not reality,
right?
But it's what we've decided it is. And if you change that story, this is such a random side note, but I was so impacted by Austin Powers growing up, and this is why.
Yes.
Because in high school, or whenever that was, I knew I was gay. I knew I liked men. And then like Mike Myers was like not what I was trying to be attracted to. I was like, no, that's not, whatever.
Right.
And then watching Austin Powers in that movie, if you remember, he is so proud of how sexy he is. Like
Right.
he's shirtless. He just thinks he is the hottest person that ever lived.
Yeah.
And I remember being a teenager being like, maybe he is. Like, what am I feeling about? Because his confidence, the
Right.
story he was telling himself was so convincing that like I was like, wow, Austin Powers is like hot.
Yeah. That's gonna be the headline of this live.
Yes.
Austin Powers is hot. Okay, sorry.
I don't know. The
Yeah,
story he tells himself works.
that's so true. I mean, that's an
Hmm.
inspiration. No, yeah, I love that. Okay, I have another caption. Cued.
Ah, okay.
Okay, this is from last July. Um, and I really am going to read the whole thing, so hopefully that's okay.
Okay.
Okay, it's a picture of a flower, so very, very on brand for you and
Loving
your new
flowers. That was
floral
the
plant.
birth.
Okay, so you say, last night we were talking about the timeline of life, about the invisible hand of expectations on all of our joy. When are we supposed to be married, start a family? What's early? What's right on time? What's late? What does any of that mean? We talked about the biological clock of a woman and its tango with career and ambition, about the idolatry of work and career itself, about the value of family as a life goal. We are living inside a modern confluence of historical motivations. One is the ancient allegiance to tradition, to do what was done before us, to start a family by this time, to have a house and a spouse. And if you miss these milestones, you're in some way a failure. It doesn't matter if you're loving your life, it doesn't matter if you're thriving in community and career. These things are more important than your whims. God's order and plan is more important than your fantasy. The other
Mm.
is the American individualist mythology. It says, tradition be damned. The old way is the dead way. Tradition is patriarchy. There shall be no sacrifice of desire. You are a wild, burning, unique soul meant for greatness. If you're unfulfilled, that means you aren't doing it right. Don't settle. Don't give up on your dreams. Wait for that one big love. Leap from boring responsibility into the adventure of passion. These two rivers of meaning, shaped by centuries of culture and thought, flow together into our lives, into our choices, and leave us knotted up like frozen deer, unable to enjoy walking one path or the other. Because to walk confidently in one is to be ridiculed by the other, and we deify the select famous few who seem to have straddled both. I've seen this hovering nag of expectation in every stage of life. I've seen older people who never became grandparents writhe in their unfulfilled purpose. I've seen happily married people with wonderful, well-fed children squirm that their career isn't where they thought it would be at 45. Give yourself some grace. You're living in a tug of war.
I
So
believe that.
good. Oh, it just
But
really stopped me in my tracks. I had the moment that that guy had that was just like, yeah, like that is the like such a hard thing. And I think getting into late 20s 30s where you are kind of hitting that point in life where you're like, gosh, I got to get this together, I got to figure out what I'm doing and who I am, and like all this pressure starts mounting. And I love that there's no like answer. You're like, that's just what it is. It's just a tug of war and it's hard and that's it. Because I think that's the truth. It's like there's never going to be a moment where you're like, cool, like I've definitely done everything right. I definitely made all the right decisions. Like, I mean, I think there is that, but I think just having the awareness, I don't know. I'll let you talk on it a little bit.
well, first of all, I can't tell you what a dream and how cool it is to like see someone like respond to something I wrote and like I don't know, like and it just is it's totally a dream come true and it like hits me with such a beautiful weight. So that was very honoring.
I'm
Thank you.
glad. I'm glad that wasn't painful for you.
No, well, the nice thing about having the memory of a goldfish is that I don't remember writing that. Um, I believe all those things, but the moment, like a week later, I'm like, what did I even do last week? I don't know.
Meanwhile, I can't
So,
stop thinking about it for years.
but I think the truest the truest journeys of wisdom that we're all on is learning that everything is attention.
Yeah.
If you're married to the love of your life, love is a combination of ownership and desire, and those two things are not the same. Desire is wanting something that you don't have, and love is owning a thing that you feel safe with. And one of them is
Yeah.
nurturing, one of them is like on fire. And so like if you want to have a happy marriage, you have to learn it. You're never going to have just the wanting or just the having, because then you'll all you'll do is want the other thing. And
Right.
so
Right.
you're all like, life is like this,
Yeah.
which is kind of interesting because like that's how we walk. You go from one foot to the next.
Right.
You don't hop on one foot. You
Right.
seesaw. That is actually like the way that we move.
Wow. Did you just come up with that?
Yeah, I saw
Wow.
myself swaying like this. I was like, wow, that's actually how we move.
That's good.
But that's I just when I was really thinking about that and having that great conversation with my friend,
Hmm.
I just remember being like, we just have to give ourselves some grace. Like this is hard, and
Yeah.
we beat ourselves up
Yeah.
all day, and let's just not do that anymore.
Yeah. I know. Sometimes it really, I do feel like it's a lot of things. It's not simple as that, but it just is that. It's like, hey, how do you make better habits and like do the things you want to do? It's like, well, you just have to decide to do it. Like,
Yeah,
there's nothing,
I don't know what to tell you.
I don't know what to tell you. You just have to do it. Like at a certain point, you just have to do it. And that's kind of like what, I mean, that reminds me of. It's just like, that just is what it is.
When you were asking me about like what is it like to write, like how do I write for an audience or whatever, like
Yeah.
having a conversation with a smart person like you, and it makes me think like that aha moment that we just both had about like the only way to move forward is to seesaw between your legs, like
Right.
that, like that's like, oh, that was a helpful way to think about it for me. So I'll write about that like tomorrow
Yeah.
based on this conversation. Like I actually
Yeah.
I I always joke that like I am kind of like a lizard. If I am quiet by myself and I'm not reading or texting someone, or if I'm just sitting by myself,
Yeah.
I'm actually not really thinking about anything. I'm just like an animal. I'm just like a lizard staring, like soaking in the sun. But then because I'm an extrovert, a true like external processor,
Same.
talking to someone that I have like kismet with and synergy with, um, all of a sudden my mind is just spinning, and and we're like getting somewhere together, and that's like my
Totally.
favorite feeling.
Yeah, no, same. That's why, like, I love writing songs with other people.
Mm,
Like, I know you write, you wrote your book alone, but I think getting to go and sit in a room and be like, I've been thinking about this and talk about it for an hour and then try to write a song about it is like, it's why I have such a problem writing by myself because I'm like, I have nobody
yeah,
to help me find the
bounce.
thing. Yeah.
Well,
Yeah.
I will say you do, in a way, you write a book alone, but you just write the first draft alone. And then if you have a publishing deal, you send it to your editor, and the editor-writer relationship is
Yeah.
so special. Like
Yeah.
they dive into every single word and line, and they're like, love this, or this is confusing. I don't understand how you got from here to there. Like,
Yeah.
can you expand on this? And so it becomes, the book gets good through the conversation with the editor or editors, and I love that process because
Yeah.
I am not precious with my work.
Totally.
I'm like, if this doesn't make sense, I'm not doing my job, so help me.
Yeah, yeah, no, exactly. Shout out to editors because
It's so cool.
true heroes. Okay, so what about your next book that's coming out
Oh,
in September, right?
you're so good. Yes, September, I believe it's September 15th. Um, it's called like Streams to the Ocean, and it kind of came from when I got back from my trip. I just kind of assumed everyone would go away and stop listening to me because they were just there for the adventure. But
Right.
what I learned is that a lot of people are interested in just thinking out loud with me. They enjoy thinking about important things and
Yeah.
talking about them. And then my publisher was like, we really want you to do another book, and maybe a book of essays about things that are important to you. And so we kind of, I kind of went through all my favorite captions that I've written,
Hmm.
that I've processed, and they
Hmm.
kind of fell into 8 categories, like 8 key categories about what it is to be a human and formation of who you are. And let me see if I can remember them. It's ego, family, home, friendship, love, work, death, and the soul.
Oh, wow.
And so I just wrote essays expanding on ideas I've talked about online before about all those subjects, like the most important subjects of being human. And so
Yeah.
it's meant to be a book where I would just get a lot of messages of people being like, I have no one in my life to talk to about these things. Like
Yeah.
you are an internet person I don't know, and I feel like we are really close, and like you can actually talk about these things that I think about. And so
Yeah.
I was like, wow, it would be cool to put that kind of thinking and writing in a book that if people do feel alone or they want to have richer conversations with their own friends, it's like, here's
Yeah.
a little like helpful book of essays to get it going.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh my God. Can't wait.
I can't wait. As soon as I have some, I'll send you one.
Oh, yay.
Of course.
No, I know everyone is gonna just devour that. It's gonna be so good.
Oh, I hope so. Yeah, I'm really proud of it. It turned out I've had I've had some of my closest friends who I respect the most read it, and they said this is the book I was always meant to write, which is like
Yeah.
the
Ah,
coolest the
gosh,
coolest feeling.
that's so cool.
So yeah.
Well, we're just about to hit an hour exactly,
Ah,
which is pretty
well,
impressive.
I know it's effortless with you.
Effortless with you, man.
Babe.
But seriously, I have loved talking to you. I really appreciate you coming on and just sharing this stuff. And in general, your commitment and discipline that you put in to continue to share these insights and to continue thinking. And you know you could very easily be like, I don't want to share my life with anyone anymore. I don't want people to feel like they know me. I'm done with this. But it really is so, so powerful. And I just really appreciate you doing that and just reminding us all that our individual stories are so powerful, and sharing
Mm.
them, is so rewarding. So I just really appreciate
Well, it's been truly an honor, and I can't wait till we can hang out in real life.
I know. Oh my God. Soon?
Counting the seconds. I mean, with a mask, a distance walk, maybe. I don't know the rules.
Yeah, I'll just hunt down, I'll just start walking and just try and find your house. I'll just start yelling your name.
Okay, perfect. I'll bang some pots.
Yeah, okay, perfect. All right. Well, thanks again for coming on. Have a
Thank you
good
so
rest of the
much.
day.
Thank you. Okay, talk to you later.
All right, bye.
Bye.
Oh, wow. That was so cool. I mean, I tried to keep, the fangirling to somewhat of a minimum, but I just really love him. And I hope you guys did too. I hope you enjoyed our conversation, and go get his book that's already out, To Shake the Sleeping Self. It's really, really good if these are topics that interest you and that you want to kind of explore more. I definitely recommend reading his book and just following him on Instagram and pre-ordering his new book and just supporting him. I love him. So thanks, Jedediah. All right, guys. That is it for guests on Instagram Live for the time being. Um, yeah, crazy. All right. I have one more Instagram Live tomorrow where we will be celebrating the release of Made It This Far, my new song. I can't wait to listen to it with you guys, and I'm thinking we'll do a Q&A and have you guys send in questions as the live is going. So if you have any questions that you're thinking about, or maybe start thinking about some if there are some you want to ask. But yeah, I'm just excited to celebrate the release. And thanks again to Jedediah for coming on today and talking. And I will plan on seeing you guys tomorrow, and the song will be out. Very excited. All right, everyone, have a good day, and see you tomorrow.